Okay, here's a sneak attack live stream. I'll wait till a few people get on there maybe. I need one person to get started. Just one person to get started. Nope, still nobody yet. I got two. Okay, I'll get started now. I don't think anybody did any updates today from court. So I know John Lamb and a bunch took off to Pahrump to go see some of the prisoners. I don't think that Andrea had time to do any updates. So guess what? I'm going to do an update. Pretty much it was just more of the same. A lot of boring stuff. I don't know what the prosecution is really trying to do with all of this. Oh my God. You know what? If I was on the jury, I would declare everybody innocent just from the fact the government has bored me to death. That alone. I'm serious. It's that bad. It is a form of brainwashing, over and over and over the same stuff. There was something they brought up today that, well, they keep bringing it up. It had to do with some of the posts of Todd Engel about taking the cattle back, blocking the traffic, and doing it by force. Well, you know what? That could very well be taken out of context, and I will tell you why. Todd Engel is from Idaho. All those guys are from Idaho except for Ricky Loveland, and he's from Montana. I lived in Montana for 19 years, and it is very, very common when the ranchers are taking their cattle from the summer range or winter range and from pasture to pasture. Let's just put it that way. It is very common for the freeways, highways, big and small, to get shut down. It's very common. All right. And I can remember in one instance in particular, just outside of Dillon, Montana, and this is the God's truth. Dillon, Montana, they're running a whole bunch of cattle. Now, it wasn't one of the major freeways, I will say that, but people, people get antsy, they get frustrated, and they want to drive their vehicles through the cattle. So they actually had a couple cowpokes there on their horses with their revolvers to stop the people from driving their vehicles through the cattle. So this is common. I've looked at that very, very closely. I don't know if the attorneys have actually directly asked the defendants, was this what you had in mind? I had the opportunity to talk to a couple of attorneys real quick, and they seem to be receptive to it. I talked to Tanasi and Leventhal about it, and I said, this is really common. I lived in Montana for 19 years. It happens all the time, and it's throughout the western states. When ranchers want to move their cattle from pasture to pasture, or sheep, many times they will legally, and this is all legal, they will shut the traffic down, even on freeways. In fact, there's a big thing that happens every year in Montana. I think it's called the Montana Cattle Drive, where they take practically from one end of the state to the other, they run a bunch of cattle. It's like a historical type thing, all right? So they're using this as prejudicial evidence against the defendants. And I think, the state of mind of the defendants could have been, hey, you know what? Let's just go up there and, we'll shut the freeways down to make sure nobody gets hurt. And there's one other aspect to that also. When you look at man, I am hitting every freaking red light. That's what I got to complain about today. I'm hitting all the red lights. Let's see, what was I thinking? Okay. They went in a Tokwa wash, and the cattle were released from there. And they ended up going back down to the Virgin River. But if you had never been there, like those guys had never been there. They hadn't. Well, that's frustrating. keep getting disconnected. Just hang in there. I'll be out of the... Okay, I'm out of that little area now. We should be fine. The defendant... Oh, it's making me crazy. The defendants had never been to the Toquat Wash. Okay, they'd never been to the compound. If you were to look at it, Google Earth, this is really unbelievable. Okay, are we going to get disconnected one more time? Go away. Go. FBI. Okay, I'm on the freeway. I'll be in pretty good shape as soon as I get away from the strip for sure. So if you were to go to Google Earth and wanted to see where you're going to bring the cattle back, you're going to be looking at the crossover on both I-15 north and south on those freeways, and that's closest to the compound. That'd be the most logical way to bring the cattle back. Was that what they were thinking? We got to shut down the freeways in order to get the cattle from the north side of the freeways to where the grazing was on the south side. Well, you would have to shut those freeways down to do that. I don't know what their state of mind was. That was what they were thinking. But it's seriously plausible, and that needs to be looked at. And I think they will. Tanasi had a real good reception for what I told him. Hopefully, you know, that'll come into play, because right now, the only thing the prosecution's trying to do right now is demonize these guys any way possible. And with redundancy and, you know, prejudicial evidence, which is no evidence at all. And that's all they're trying to do. There was something else that went in my other brain. I hope I can remember it, but this is really getting kind of crazy. You know, like I said, if I was one of the jurors, I'm serious. I would say just let them all go, because you're boring me to death with all this redundancy. Oh, now I remembered the other thing. When the woman, I know her name. I don't like mention agents' names. I just don't. She seems like actually a nice lady, just trying to do her job. But one of the questions that she was asked is if the undercover agents use aliases to infiltrate the defendant's Facebook, and she said yes. And you know what was amazing to me is I happened to catch the look on the judge's face, and she did not like that. That got by her. She did not like that. And that whole line of questioning by the defense, I think was, you know, to build a foundation for entrapment, and I believe it is there. But if nothing else, what it shows is how the FBI, you know, violates your privacy. You know, I'm telling you, folks, they got access to everything. And they keep saying, well, you know, we went and got a court order. What was it? No, we got a subpoena. We got a warrant to get this information. Is there anybody going to deny, especially Facebook, they're going to deny them? No. I mean, they can. And here's the other thing. It's a violation of the Fourth Amendment because it cannot specifically say what they're looking for. So they just get all of the defendant's information, and it becomes a fishing trip, or you can call it a witch hunt. So by their own admission, they go through thousands and thousands and thousands of Facebook posts and pages, and only a small percentage of that are they actually using for evidence. So what did they do? It was a big fishing trip. That is a violation of the Fourth Amendment. And now they take that evidence, unlike the first trial, and they edit the crap out of it to eliminate anything that would be positive for the defendants. To me, I mean, to any right-thinking person, that is not justice. That is not justice. They're doing all that they can to paint these people in the worst light they humanly possibly can. And it's really pretty nauseating. It's sickening because, you know, when you look at these FBI agents up there, it's all about one thing. It's about their paycheck. It's about their promotion. Do whatever you can. Well, you got heroes up there, and I'm going to say it. These four men actually 6 men, were all heroes. 2 of them were found guilty of certain things in the first trial, and they're not on trial again. The fact of the matter is, I'm going to come right out and say it. Everything that I've seen so far, if those guys had not been on that bridge, there would have been bloodshed. Because I know for a fact there was a lot more militia there. A lot more. All right? The government could not identify them because they were not in plain sight. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So what do? They go after these actually 6 guys. If it weren't for these defendants, and I'm going to name them, Ricky Loveland, Eric Parker, Todd Engel, Stephen Stewart, Clyde Drexler, Scott Drexler. I always think of the basketball player. Sorry about that. And even Greg Burleson. All right? They were out front. They were visible. They were visible. And they stopped bloodshed just by them being there. They're heroes. They really are. These men are heroes. And for them to be treated and been just... I mean, this judge and this prosecution demeans them so bad. Like look what they did to Greg Burleson. Look what they did to Jerry DeLemus when the judge sentenced them. She just totally demeaned them and called them bullies, like schoolyard bullies. The only schoolyard bullies were there was the BLM, the forestry department. Those were the bullies. And she said they're victims. They were victims. No, they're free. They can go home to their families, right? They're collecting their paycheck, right? They're going to get their pensions correct, all right? They go walk around their neighborhood and their social little circles talking about how they are so wonderful and how they are enforcing, right on the stand, one of them said he's enforcing the Constitution of the United States. Are you serious? Give me a break. And that he was there defending America. Give me a break. No, you weren't defending America. You weren't defending the Constitution. The only thing that you were doing is pushing the government's narrative and the world banksters. And and he was former military also. Okay, you know what? You know how many veterans we got on there for BLM? Probably the majority of them, everyone I've seen so far has been a veteran. Okay, all you people that just think the veterans are so wonderful, these veterans at least are a big bunch of liars. Deceivers, and they're going to railroad their fellow man, the true heroes. They have every intention of putting them in prison for life. That's your veterans sometimes for you, and I make no apologies for that. Anyhow, I'm getting worked up. I'm not going to say anymore. God bless everybody. Let's keep praying and let's do what we can. I'm going to lose you. I'm getting ready to go into a bad sale area. God bless everybody. Well, court is Monday at 9 o'clock in the morning. And I'm sure we'll get some better updates on this at that time. Bye-bye, everybody.